Hello, this is Justice Baxterman, and welcome back to God, Guns, Gaming, and the Grand Old Party. Today I'll be offering perhaps my most controversial proposal. I propose we undo 1850. What I mean is that we should reverse the Compromise of 1850. If you don't know what the Compromise of 1850 was, it was basically... Alright, this requires some backstory. In 1836, Texas seceded from Mexico in the Texas Revolution and won the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which granted Texas independence from Mexico and an absolutely massive amount of land, much more than we have today. Some of y'all already know where this is going. A large portion of the land was disputed, and Texas often lacked the resources to govern and patrol it, but it was ours by the terms of the treaty, which were never fully followed by either side, but that's besides the point. At any rate, when Texas was annexed by America in 1845, all those disputes were taken care of in the ensuing Mexican War, so Texas got all its land, and for 5 years it actually properly held all that land. However, the Texas state government was beset by a severe lack of funds, as had the the Republic of Texas's government been during the days of the Republic. So for only 5 years after the annexation, we settled to give up a large portion of our land to the federal government for a large amount of money. Now that was known as the Compromise of 1850, and that's why I'm here suggesting we reverse. By the way, I am proud that Texas is the only state that has ever sold its land to pay off its debts instead of just having the government bail it out, or the federal government bail it out. Still, though, we are no longer indebted like that, so, yeah. Anyways, that land has since become parts of New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Wyoming. And that's in approximately the order of how much those states now owns. Of course, those states have gotten kind of used to owning the land at this point, so it may be hard to get them to agree to cede it all back. I'll deal with Oklahoma, Kansas, and Wyoming all together because they'd be losing the least and would probably be the easiest to negotiate this deal with. And then I'll do Colorado and New Mexico individually. Now, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Wyoming, those parts are all relatively dry plains land that sells for about, $1,000 per acre or so. So considering the area they'd be giving up was rather small and insignificant, I shouldn't think we need to be offering more than, just going to say, $1,200 per acre, plus an additional $10 million to Oklahoma. That's particular because we're taking their highest point, Black Mesa, and I don't know how much they care because it's like a puny little high point, but whatever. Anyways, this makes the total for Oklahoma, Kansas, and Wyoming about $14,242,320,000. Right now into Colorado. Colorado might actually be the hardest to deal with because this will cut them in half, sort of like what's with Michigan, except with instead of a lake between the two parts, there'd be a whole entire state. We'd also be taking their highest point, Mount Elbert. Because the Rocky Mountain land is somewhat nicer and more desirable than the desert-like areas of the other states, we'd probably be looking at paying more like $2,000 per acre. And then again, we're buying land in bulk, so rounding it down to that. Plus, on average, plus plus about $50 million for taking their highest point, which is much higher than Black Mesa, so that's why we're paying so much more. To make up for the whole cutting their state in half thing, we'd also let them keep any state highways that cut through the area, although we'd also fill the area up with our state highways and farm to market and ranch to market roads that we like so much. Also, one thing I think would please everybody would be that the land we'll be taking would be mostly rural areas, completely missing the big cities of Denver and Colorado Springs. So we'd be making Texas redder, which us Texans will like, and would make Colorado bluer, which some of the Coloradoans wouldn't like, but a lot of the rural Coloradoans would like not being disenfranchised anymore. So overall, it's a win-win. Colorado now brings our total to $66,918,000,000. Now, New Mexico may be even harder to negotiate than Colorado. Unfortunately, the New Mexican big cities like Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and Las Cruces are all at least partially on this side of the Rio Grande. That being the case, I'd recommend we leave them the counties those cities are in. That way, again, we'd get the rural areas of the state making Texas redder, New Mexico bluer, and the residents there better represented. Or at least more, well, whatever. Anyways, the New Mexican land is also fairly desert-like, so we'd again be paying only $1,200 per acre. However, New Mexico's highest point, Wheeler Peak, would also be in this area, so that's another $50 million. And why am I specifically picking high points? I don't know. High points are important. And there'd be other landmarks, but like I don't know about them, and like nobody cares. Anyways, if New Mexico agrees, they'll cost a total of $62,355,600,000, and this brings our grand total to about $143,515,920,000. Now, of course, I have no idea how much actually we'd be settling on if this ever did happen. My estimates are extremely crude. Anyways, though, that's all for this video. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.